The Wedding of Distinction podcast is brought to you by WeddingStylesOfCT.com.
This here is a remarkable,
Welcome to the Wedding of Distinction podcast, a program for the unique bride and groom. The Wedding of Distinction is a concept where brides and grooms want something better, not just your average wedding. We have the tools to make that happen. Now, here's your host, Mike Fernino.
Thank you so much for the listen. Our wedding podcast continues to grow, and I hope the information is very helpful in your process to plan the perfect wedding. And on today's program, I'm going solo. Yeah, I want to focus on hiring a DJ for your wedding. Now, I've personally been in the wedding business as a professional wedding DJ and master of ceremonies for over 35 years. And I'm not going to be talking about myself. Rather, I'm going to be the customer. And I'm going to tell you questions that you should consider when interviewing with your potential wedding DJ. Because many couples, they just don't know the questions to ask, and they end up missing some of the most important elements that should be the primary considerations when hiring your wedding DJ. I'm going to break into an actual conversation, or at least the questions that should be part of that conversation, and you should consider this as your interview process with your potential wedding DJ. Now, I want to start right here. I said that interviewing with a potential wedding DJ, that it is very imperative to interview with the DJ, and don't just rely on text or email. No, don't do that. The DJ is responsible for being your master of ceremonies. They're supposed to be your spokesperson and representative to your guests. A DJ is not just about the music. They're supposed to be the host and the facilitator of your event. And how that individual speaks and manages your wedding, well, that directly reflects on you and the choice that you made. Things to think about. Is the DJ articulate and smooth? Do they bring energy and enthusiasm? Do they talk too much? Or do they use slang? Remember that it is the impression that goes well beyond the music that the DJ makes. Far too often, DJs get into the business because they want to play the music. Speaking on the microphone is an afterthought. In fact, many DJs are afraid of speaking on the microphone, just like you might be. Public speaking is one of the most difficult things that anyone is going to do. Just ask someone having to give a presentation. When you hire your wedding DJ, they should have skills beyond the music and be a proficient public spokesperson to represent you. Next up is chemistry. The same chemistry that brought you and your partner together, attract you to your friends and make them likable. The same chemistry that makes you feel comfortable with a particular teacher at school, etc., etc. It is chemistry that you should have with the DJ. You should really like them and feel comfortable with them. You should be able to have a conversation and communicate well with them. The only way you're going to know if you have good chemistry is if you physically talk with your DJ. So once again, I want to shun the idea of just texting and emailing your DJ. You know, I know that for some of the younger couples that are in their 20s, this is the preferred means of communication, of course. But trust me, when I tell you that picking up the phone and having a conversation, it's a crucial element to who you end up hiring. So with that, I want to get into my 15 questions that you should consider when interviewing a wedding DJ. Question number 1. What made you get into the business in the first place? Now, this is a great question because it opens up a dialogue for the DJ to provide a legitimate introduction to his or her motivation. Number 2, what are your qualifications and experience when it comes to performing at weddings? Now, obviously, this is a job interview, and it's a necessary question. The qualification of your wedding DJ should not be limited to, I have a sound system, a microphone, and I have music. Question 3. How many weddings have you performed? This is obviously going to separate the newbies from the seasoned professionals. Question 4. Have you worked at our venue before? Now, it may not be crucial, and it may not even be a big deal, but sometimes When you have a DJ that is very familiar with your venue, and the venue might have certain house rules, well, it could be a definite advantage. Question number 5. If our venue requires it, are you fully insured? Now, this is a must question that you have to ask because many venues are now requiring a certificate of liability. And if the DJ is not insured, well, the couple could end up picking up that responsibility. And a day of insurance policy, well, it could be quite expensive. Also, ask if they have the ability to name the venue as additional insured. And that simply means the venue wants to have their name and their address on the policy itself. Question 6. What do you have for backup equipment, and what is your plan in case there's a failure the day of my wedding? Now, a professional and a very responsible DJ is going to have more than just a backup computer. They need to have complete backup speakers, backup controllers, backup wires, backup music source, etc., etc. Basically, they have to have everything covered to make sure your day goes smooth and without issue. Question 7. What happens if you can't make it for my wedding day? Do you have backup staff or an emergency plan in place? Now, this is a really important question. You know, many couples, they never ask this question at all, but think about it. What if the DJ got sick, had a car problem, or worse? What do they have as a backup plan, and are they willing to put it all in writing into a contract? A DJ can tell you that they have a backup plan, but it means absolutely nothing unless it's in writing. Number 8. Are you the DJ who will be doing my wedding? Will we be working with you personally? This is probably one of the most important questions you can ask because there are so many DJs out there subcontracting, and in some cases you might end up with an agency, and then they call around and they go to places like Thumbtack and Bark just trying to find the cheapest possible DJ to cover your wedding. You don't meet that person until the wedding day, and they have no idea of who you are and what you want. DJs should be 100% transparent and willing to put his or her name in writing on a contract. If you're working with a multi-system operation like my company, Music in Motion, well, we should let you know who your DJ is immediately up front, give you access to them so you can communicate, and you should have their name on that contract. Otherwise, you've just signed an open-ended contract, or what we call a generic contract, with a company and not an actual individual. Question number 9. Are there additional fees? Those pesky additional fees. Now, I may be putting the cart before the horse because we haven't talked yet about price, the going rate, any of that stuff. And that's intentional on my part, and we're going to get to that, I promise. But you need to find out if the DJ is going to be charging a travel fee, a setup fee, a fee for adding subwoofers, a fee for lighting, etc., etc. Basically, you should know up front exactly what the amount is going to be and what the applicable taxes are going to be before hiring your DJ and signing that contract. Number 10, when do you arrive? Another very important question to ask because this might be a mistake that you make and you don't even realize it's a mistake. For instance, if you have a 5-hour wedding, but you only want to hire the DJ for 4 hours, and then they show up with their equipment an hour early, which is very professional on their part, but now they're walking into cocktail hour, and that's a very terrible look. It looks like the DJ is late, and it's also disruptive of your event. If you have a 5-hour wedding, the DJ should arrive a minimum of 1 hour prior to the contract start time. An experienced professional DJ is going to give you a time package that encompasses your entire wedding and not just the partial. They're going to walk you through everything and let you know what you really need. Number 11, do you have a planning system that we could use to help us organize our wedding? Many professional DJs will have an online planning system, possibly even an app that you can use that will greatly enhance the planning process. Not just the music selection, but the overall planning process. They shouldn't charge for this, but if they do, it should be communicated up front. Number 12, can I see a picture and do you have a video of your full wedding setup? Now, most brides and grooms, they don't ask this question, and it may not even matter, but I think presentation is extremely important, And if a DJ throws their equipment on a table with the wires hanging out and exposed, well, that's an absolute indicator of an amateur. And a professional polished DJ is not going to ever do that. They're going to have a nice presentation. I think it's really important for a couple to see what they're going to get before they commit to it. Number 13, overtime. What happens if we want to have overtime? Another question that many people don't really ask, but overtime and the rate the DJ charges should be quoted to you in advance and put into writing on your contract. You should know if the DJ is going to charge $250 for overtime in advance, because sometimes if the party is just on fire, going fantastic, and the DJ kind of knows that you're going to be asking for that overtime, well, then the rate could end up kind of bloating and going sky high because they know they got you. So find out the overtime rate in advance and if that's even applicable. Also, find out if the DJ will be willing to provide you overtime services. Number 14, let the DJ know how many guests you plan on having and ask them if their sound system is appropriate for the room size and the guest count. Now, I know this question might be going a little bit overboard for some people, but remember, I'm a DJ. And I would probably be a DJ's worst nightmare if I were doing the interviewing here. I think it is a relevant question to find out if the DJ will have the right sound system to fit your wedding. If you're having a small, intimate wedding of 50 people, there's no reason to be bringing in subwoofers and things like that. Now, on the flip side, if you're having a wedding of 300 people in a huge ballroom, the DJ cannot come in with two small little speakers that are rated for a much smaller room. That would not go over very well. So it's an important question to ask. And finally, question number 15. And this is the question many couples ask first. And disturbingly enough, some couples make this the only question that they ask, and that is, what's your price? And I put this question last of my 15 questions to ask for a certain reason. I feel that you absolutely need to know what you are getting before you ask what the rate of compensation is. And by the way, it's not a price. It's a rate. And the rate of compensation can be disseminated much easier if you know what you're getting first and whether or not you feel it's worth it. If you are looking for a basic DJ to play in a backyard and you don't really care about their experience, the quality of their equipment, or even whether or not they have talent, well, then you don't probably expect to pay a lot. I would caution you, though, to remember what I said in the very beginning, and that is the DJ you choose is the host, and they represent you to your wedding guests. Getting a local bar DJ or a karaoke DJ who has no experience doing weddings at all, well, that might offer you a very low rate, but ultimately it can factor in whether or not your wedding is remembered as fun or a fiasco. But if a DJ is far beyond your budget, it's important to set a budget and try to stick to that budget so you don't have financial burdens that follow you into your married life. Of course, if you stick to my 15 questions, you might have a much better idea of whether or not the DJ is worth your investment in the first place and whether or not you can entrust them to give you the wedding experience that you are really dreaming of. In some cases, it might be worth putting more money toward the DJ and cut other things that can bloat your budget. For example, do you really need to have all those beautiful flowers on every table? Or a super fancy wedding cake? Or wedding favors that are going to be thrown away anyway? Drones flying overhead or an absolute top-of-the-line photography package? Does that all matter if nobody's dancing? And the DJ mispronounces everyone's names or the sound system is terrible? People are complaining, their ears are bleeding? It's all about your priorities. And I know I'm speaking from an incredibly biased platform, and of course, I'm going to think that the DJ is extremely valuable. But yes, the DJ is one of the most important choices that you're going to make. I don't care what the photographer says. The memories might be captured by the photographer, but the DJ makes the memories. And I think that these 15 questions should really make a difference in your hiring process. And I wish you all the luck and happy hunting.
We hope you are enjoying the podcast. Your Wedding of Distinction host, Mike Fernino, is a 30-year veteran of the wedding industry as a professional DJ and master of ceremonies. As the founder of Music in Motion Entertainment, Mike has worked with thousands of couples over the years, creating dynamic and exceptional events that stand out in the eyes and ears of the wedding guests. Music in Motion is a full-time professional wedding service based in Connecticut and serving the surrounding states, also offering photography, custom lighting design, videography, photo booth, and live classical and jazz musicians. Call 203-627-9600 and ask for their wedding e-brochure or visit their website at musicinmotionentertainment.com. The Wedding of Distinction podcast is a production of Music in Motion Entertainment. All rights reserved. Any unauthorized publication of this program is strictly prohibited. For the Wedding of Distinction podcast, I'm Mike Vincent. Happy wedding planning, everybody.